Hey YouTube. So for a while I've been thinking of doing some sorts of video, and while I was doing my research for the ease procedure for Dr. Kasey Li, I realized that there was only a handful of videos on YouTube that showed the entire process, the expansion process, and these videos really truly helped me make this decision. So I told myself, why not make a video myself? So this way I can help some of you guys like it did for me. Um, yeah, and basically all I want to say is that I do have compassion for many of you that are feeling tired, feeling exhausted all the time because I felt the same. I still do today. I mean, I didn't have the expansion yet, but it's a constant fight that feels never ending. And hopefully, when I am on the other side, something will change, and I could gladly say that it has improved my sleep. So my goal with this video is to truly share my last 5 year journey since I got diagnosed with sleep apnea until today, and why I'm suggesting surgery and how it did bring me there. So yeah, let's do it. So basically, it all started back in 2020. During COVID, that's when I got diagnosed with sleep apnea. My AHI was 23 at that time, so I think that is moderate. So at first, when I started using the CPAP, everything felt nice, everything felt good. I started getting more energy. Right? It's crazy that when you're tired all the time, you don't realize that you're tired all the time until you sleep better, and you're like, wow, there's a different level to feeling tired. And I became fascinated. But as time went on, I started just sleeping with the machine every single night, constantly fighting with air leaks, swallowing air, and just waking up and putting a mask every night just felt exhausting. And deep down, I knew that something wasn't right. Especially, I'm 27 years old. I'm healthy. I exercise almost every day. I try to, at least when I'm not tired. And I just knew that it wasn't the right path for me moving forward. I was too tired to. My tiredness was affecting my way of committing to a lot of areas of my life. I didn't want to commit since I wasn't too sure if I was able to be there for others, or for my career, or for my job, etc. So basically, it started in 2023. My health at that time was getting worse. Right, it's been 2 3 years I've been on the CPAP. I was sick almost every single month, and that's when I really opened up my eyes and started delving and really researching the health space. So I started doing DEXA scan, blood test, VO2 max testing, really tracking everything that I could about myself. I was wearing a Whoop tracker, right, trying to dial in on my diet and sleep, etc. So that's when I started watching YouTube videos about CPAP optimization, and I was really fascinated that you could use Oster to really increase your pressure, decrease your pressure, or increase EPR, etc. So during that time, after probably many months of watching those videos and optimizing my CPAP, I knew that still there was something wrong. So I eventually paid a consultation service for a YouTuber called CPAP Friend. Some of you might know him, but he's a Canadian like myself, and he's basically he has a YouTube channel where he helps people during the entire process, and he essentially suggested me to go see Dr. Jerald Simmons, who's in Texas. By the way, I'm Canadian, like I just said, and the health system here in Canada is poor, I could say. If you want to have a sleep study or go see an ENT doctor, it would take approximately a year, I would say. Um, and that ENT doctor will give you about 2 minutes of their time and with minimal effort. I don't want to be pessimistic about the healthcare, right? It's free here in Canada, so I'm grateful for that. It's just that when you are extremely tired, you want something, you want someone to truly help you. Um, and I wasn't able to get this service. Same with CPAP Friend here in Canada. So I went to the US. So like I just said, I went to see Dr. Jerald Simmons in Texas. That was last year, September, October 2024. Um, And apparently, that's what my CPAP friend, the YouTubers, told me, is that he's one of the best at identifying UARS, right, upper airway resistance syndrome. So I went there, and honestly, I was quite disappointed with the experience. I had a virtual call with him beforehand, and he was literally driving during our call. He was only there for a few minutes. He was distracted. I was not quite happy, but I still went there because at that time I was discouraged and I just wanted to have an answer to my sleep. I felt tired, so we did a test. I know Dr. Simmons uses a PES. That's what I call PES, and it's a little, I don't know what it's called, but it goes up to your nose all the way down to your throat, and you sleep with that. And that is supposed to help you find if you have the UARS. But in my case, what happened is that he did a CPAP titration, and the pressure that he suggested was almost exactly what my CPAP pressure was. And he also found that I don't have upper airway syndrome, resistance syndrome, but he diagnosed me with narcolepsy type 2, because I also did a test for narcolepsy, a sleep study test. And it just didn't feel right, because I read from a lot of forums that Dr. Jerald Simmons recommends a lot of people to have narcolepsy. And I think I fell asleep in 2 of the 3 tests. But one of the reasons was that I truly felt exhausted sleeping with those pests through my nose the entire night. And me flying, I didn't sleep well for the past 3 days before going there. So I was just already exhausted. That's why I fell asleep 2 out of 3 times. And for me, at the end of the day, taking a pill for narcolepsy, which actually caused depression, depression, and then I needed to take another pill to counteract that pill, was just right away a hard no for me. I knew that medication wasn't the answer for me personally. I'm not pushing anybody else who thinks that's the answer. That's okay. But after seeing Dr. Jerald Simmons and having a poor experience, I just took a break, because for a period of a year, I was researching all those videos, seeing Dr. Jerald Simmons, and so I decided to take a break, and I was just mentally done and not having an answer at the end of the day. So then, earlier this year, that was in April 2025, I reached out to the CPAP friend, the YouTuber again, and I told him how I felt. That I wanted to see someone who could look at me and see all the angles on why I have sleep apnea and what are the solutions. And without a hesitation, the CPAP friend recommended me Dr. Anil Rama from California. So in the same week that I had my call with CPAP friend, I booked a flight to see Anil Rama, Dr. Anil Rama. That was in April 2025, and I must say that that experience was completely different. Dr. Rama spent about 2 hours with me. We did a full CBCT scan, nasal airflow testing, tongue strength, breathing strength test, and even brain mapping. And what stood out from me was that Dr. Rama truly, we sat there for 2 hours and he just listened to me, and we did all those tests, and I felt I had all his attention compared to my 27 years of healthcare, which is go, 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 in and out, you're just a number. And I felt that Rama, and he told me right away, is that your core issue was my anatomy. Which I'm like, okay, it started to click. I'm like, why? He basically told me that I had restricted nasal breathing, right? Which was true my entire time. Without realizing it, I always had trouble breathing through my nose. The second I put my head on a pillow, my nasal cavity is completely blocked. Like, even right now, you see it, right? So just feeling this sensation of, oh, I already feel much better doing that. And also that I had a narrow palate. So essentially everything lined up. He told me a few recommendations, and one of which that he recommended at the top of the list was doing the ease procedure with Dr. Kasey Li, right? Which is I always have a difficult time saying that word. It's a maxillary expansion. Basically, it widens your upper jaw and it improves your nasal airway. So at first, I was like, I don't want to have surgery, because truthfully, if you would have asked me a year or two ago, I would have said I was the last person in line to do surgery. I just don't like surgery. I find it's unnatural. It's not necessary. But for me today to be at a point where I'm considering surgery simply shows that, okay, I've done my research. I've had years of unfulfilled sleep. I don't have kids yet. And I, I thought like all of these just crossed and said, this is the time to do it. So I did my research, obviously, like everyone, and like you guys should. So at first I was skeptical, but the more I dug into it, it started making sense. So for a few months, I started researching every single expanders out there for adults. And you have like a MARPI, you have the Dome, the Mind, the SARPI, the FME, and EASE, and probably I'm missing a few of them. There's so many, they keep coming out with new versions of it. But ultimately, I watched every single video about Dr. Kasey Li out there. I read his studies about EASE, how efficient it is at reducing your AHI, improving your nasal breathing. Basically, I highly recommend watching many of his lectures on YouTube. It really gave me the confidence that his expertise is almost unmatched. From everything that I could find, EASE was the right option for me. Of course, I again did a call with CPAP Friend, the YouTuber, and which he actually done the Mind procedure with Dr. Kevin Coppelson. So I wanted his opinion, but so CPAP Friend, he suggested me that EASE was one of the best options out there, and that he would say that the Mind is one of the second best. Essentially, the difference is the price. The EASE is about $30,000 US, while the Mind is about roughly half of that. But obviously, don't quote me on that. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know for me, the EASE is 30,000 US. But from the research around it, I know that the EASE has been performed for 6 years with about 700 patients or so. So for me, it just made sense that if you have the financial capacity, I would recommend EASE, because Dr. Kasey Li is one of the most popular surgeons for sleep apnea in the world. And but Mind, or even some of the others, you could consider as well. But they all have their pros and cons, and that's up to you to do some of your research, and that's what you're doing right now. So for me, essentially from my research, I'm not a doctor, I don't give medical advice, but what makes both of these operations successful, the Mind and the EASE, is that they cut the mid-palatal suture. That's your line in your palate, essentially, which allows for a more even and uniform expansion compared to others like MARPI, which when you usually expand, you have your expansion, it starts off more like a V-shape surgery. I'll add a picture, probably top right or top left, to showcase that many and sometimes most of that expansion is actually dental and not structural, like your bone expansion, which is a big difference. So I highly suggest you to do more information and to read more articles, etc. But for me, it just made more sense because the EASE gives you much more a cleaner expansion, a more balanced expansion, and it has a smaller impact and provides a smaller diastema right in front here. So look, after my consultation with Dr. Kasey Li a few weeks ago, I now have my official surgery date, which is in January 2026, and late January 2026. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm very nervous for having this type of surgery because it's not fun. A surgery is never fun at the end of the day, but I have a saying in my life that you decide to choose your suffering. So I have two situations where I suffer from having poor sleep for a big period of my life, or having surgery, suffer through surgery, but at least with the hope of having a better quality of life afterwards. So as it stands, my decision was relatively easy to make, but of course it took 5 years of having my CPAP to reach that point. So ultimately, You guys should be expecting a few more videos from me after my surgery date, so probably in February, March, April. And that time you'll probably see another video from me, and I'll probably do another one right at the end, showcasing my improved nasal breathing. And what I'll do is also track my resting heart rate, my HRV, and any data that I can to provide the before and after, and so it can really help analytically showcase the before and after. Of course, with a CBCT scan would be amazing. So look, if you've made it this far, I would be very happy if you could give me a small like. And if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to help you guys in the comments below. I'll do my best to respond. And finally, please subscribe if you want to keep track of this journey. I would be more than happy to see some of you guys subscribe. And look, I'm wishing everyone a great day, and take care.